Hey guys, welcome back to Maytech. Today we have the LaserPecker 5 here that we're going to be testing and reviewing. This is the deluxe bundle, so it came with the slide extension and the rotary extension. We'll be checking out both those two extensions in another video after this one. In this video though, we'll be looking at this base unit. We'll be looking at what it can engrave, what it can cut. So let's get into this video. But just before we do, if you could please subscribe to this channel, it greatly helps out. All right, let's go and see what this machine can do. What I have here is the LP5 Deluxe bundle. It of course comes with the LP5 laser unit. And because this is the Deluxe bundle, it also comes with the rotary extension and the slide extension. Now I'll be looking at both of these extensions in a future video. In this video, we'll be focusing on just what the LP5 base unit can do by itself. The LP5 does come with a threaded base plate, which allows you to use these included L-shaped positioning guides. You also get this cutting plate to be used when you're cutting materials with your LaserPecker. You get this protection cover, and this cover has a built-in exhaust system. And you get this extendable hose, which goes on the back of the protection cover and lets you exhaust your LaserPecker out your window. Now moving over to this side, you do get a toolkit included. The toolkit includes everything you need to assemble and adjust your LP5. You of course get a power adapter and all the needed USB cables. You also get a set of quick start manuals and some protective goggles to use if you decide not to use the protective cover. LaserPecker also includes a full material pack, which lets you get using your LaserPecker right away. This pack comes with some 3mm plywood, a piece of laserable leatherette, 2 different thicknesses of anodized aluminum sheets, a small sheet of stainless steel, 1 cork and 1 slate coaster. It also came with 2 wood keychain blanks and 3 brass coin blanks. Before we get farther in this video, we should talk about one of the unique features of this laser, and that is that this is a dual laser system. The LP5 contains both a 20-watt blue diode laser and a 20-watt fiber laser. The blue laser allows you to engrave and cut more traditional materials like wood, leatherette, and dark acrylics, while the fiber laser allows you to engrave different types of metal like stainless steel, brass, and aluminum. It also allows you to engrave many types of stone like slate. The fiber laser can also be used to cut thin sheets of metal. So the combination of these 2 laser types allows the LaserPecker 5 to work on many different types of materials. Let's move on to doing a brief overview of some of the other features of this laser. One of the first things that you'll probably notice about this laser is that it does have a handle on it, and that's because the size of this laser makes it portable. The handle allows you to easily move this around your shop, or even to take it off-site to use it at places like markets. As I've already mentioned, this laser has a base plate with all these holes that are threaded. This threaded base plate lets you attach things like these included threaded L guides, and you can of course use it to attach any jigs or guides that you make. Up in the top front here, we have the preview button, an emergency stop button, and a pause button. Here on the other side of the LaserPecker 5, you'll see that there's 2 arrows on top of the stand which allow you to lower or raise the laser head in order to focus it. You also have a thumb screw here just under the laser head. Loosening this thumb screw allows you to put the laser head into different angles all the way up to 90 degrees. The laser will fully function at these angles. This allows you to engrave items that normally wouldn't sit horizontal onto your laser base. Coming around back, you have a series of ports. First, you have a port for your power adapter. Next is a port for the USB safety key. The LaserPecker will not run without this key installed. Next is the USB-C port to go to your computer. Under that, you have a USB port for the included flash drive. Running large files from this flash drive speeds up the laser engraving time compared to running them from your computer or from the app. Next to that, you have 3 USB ports to power all the extensions. Let's now have a look at the protective cover that comes with the LP5. This protective cover is optional to use, so you can add and remove it depending on the needs of your project. This protective cover is designed to protect your eyes from any laser reflections, and it also works to exhaust the smoke from the lasering process. It has this transparent hood on the front that is easily removable and attaches via magnets. This allows you to easily access your workpiece. On the back here, you have a built-in fan and exhaust port, which are powered by one of the USB accessory ports on the back of the laser head. The extendable hose then clips onto the back of the exhaust port. You can then run the other side of the hose out to a window or into any current exhaust system you already have. Here it is all set up, and as you can see, you can still access your material on the base plate here, and you can also access your material by removing the transparent hood. The exhaust hose is routed nicely out the back and doesn't get in the way of operating your machine. One of the most important things on any laser machine is how you focus it and how you frame your work. Focus on the LP5 is done using these 2 red dots. You simply use the up and down arrows on top of the stand to lower or raise the laser head until the 2 red dots join into one. Once the 2 red dots merge into one single dot, your machine is now focused. Framing is done using this blue square. So the blue square outlines the area that will be engraved or cut. You also have an option for G-code framing. This gives you an exact preview of the design you're about to engrave or cut, but this only works for vector outline designs, so you can't use it for any vectors that have been filled or for any raster images. The software to run your LaserPecker 5, called LaserPecker Design Space, comes in options both for your computer and as a mobile app. For this video, we'll be using the desktop version of the software, but I did want to show you that the app version that goes on your phone is fully functional. This helps in making your LaserPecker portable, as you don't have to haul a computer around with you. Let's now jump into testing the LaserPecker 5 with different materials. Since wood is one of the most common materials used with a laser engraving machine, I'm going to start these tests out by engraving and cutting some 1/8 Baltic birch plywood. Here we are inside the desktop version of LaserPecker Design Space, and we are going to use this software to engrave the image of this wolf onto the plywood and then cut the image out. I got this wolf image and many of the images I'm going to use in this video from a site called LaserPix. Check them out if you're looking for any cool images that have been already prepared for laser engraving. You can also see that I've added this rectangle around the wolf. This rectangle will act as the guide of where the image is going to be cut out. For settings, I'll be engraving the wolf at a resolution of 2K. I'll be using the 450 nanometer blue laser. The engraving will only be one pass. We'll be engraving at a power of 30 and a depth of 20. For the cut, I will once again be using the 450 nanometer laser. I will be doing 4 passes at a power of 100 and a depth of 90. So here are the results of engraving and cutting the Baltic birch plywood. I do have to have these sitting at an angle because of the glare from my camera lights here. As you can see, the LP5 did a good job of catching much of the detail in the wolf image. It also managed to cut the 1/8 wood without any issues. Next up, we're going to test engraving some cork material. You can typically find cork in either pre-cut coaster sizes, or you can buy it in these large sheets that you cut yourself with scissors or a knife. Note that cork engraves really well, but does not cut very easily with a laser, so you usually do want to cut it with other methods. On the cork coaster, we'll be engraving this slogan right here. For the settings, we'll be using a resolution of 1K, and we'll be using the blue 450 nanometer laser. We'll be running this at 1 pass, at a power of 75, and a depth of 30. Here are the results of engraving the cork, and in my opinion, the LaserPecker did an excellent job on these coasters. Some people do like to add a finishing coat onto the engraved coaster, which will help your engraving pop out even more. Let's move on to testing some laserable leatherette. If you plan to use leatherette with your laser, you do want to make sure that it's a type marked safe for use with lasers. Leatherette does come in all different colors and shapes. For this video, I'll be testing out these laserable leatherette patches. These patches do have an adhesive on the back. This adhesive is activated with heat, so these patches can be ironed on to most fabrics. I'll be engraving my own logo here onto the leatherette. The settings I'll be using is a resolution of 1K, the 450 nanometer laser setting. I'll be doing 1 pass at a power of 70 and a speed of 50. To apply this patch, set your iron to 285 degrees and press it to the patch for 20 seconds. So the engraving onto the leatherette looks good. It's nice and dark and the edges are crisp. This is my first time using these adhesive patches, and I can say I'm quite happy with how quick and easy they are to use. I think it's time that we start giving the fiber laser a test, and we'll begin by using it on these slate coasters. Slate is a great rock to work with as it marks quite well. In fact, the standard 450 nanometer blue laser will actually mark this slate, but the 1064 nanometer fiber laser will not only give you more detail when marking, it's actually able to deep engrave the slate and can actually deep engrave most other stones and ceramics. We're going to start by etching this Aztec style design onto one of the slate coasters. We're going to do this with the resolution set to 1K, the laser source switched to 1064 nanometers, which is the fiber laser setting. The laser frequency set to 30. We'll only be doing 1 pass, and we'll be doing it with a power of 60 and a depth of 50. On our other coaster, we're going to do another Aztec style image, but this time we're going to do a deep 3D engraving. The image we have here is what's known as a grayscale depth map, and we can use the 3D grayscaling option within the LaserPecker software to turn this image into a series of layers. You can adjust the amount of layers that it converts the image into from 0 to 254. Now, if you go over here into the setting tab, you'll see that you'll now have an option to preview your layers. By sliding this slider back and forth, you can now see each individual layer that will be engraved. For the settings for this 3D engraving, I'll have the resolution set to 1K, the laser source to 1064 nanometers, the laser frequency set to 26, the power set to 100, and the depth set to 41. I'll also have the layer height set to 0.01 of a millimeter. Now here's the finished coasters, and I really do like the way they turned out. With this 3D coaster, I could have probably gone a little bit deeper by increasing the depth slightly, but I still like the effect that this 3D process produced. Up next, we're going to test out some 1/8 black acrylic. Acrylic does come with this protective paper on it, and I typically don't remove that until I'm ready to start engraving. Note that not all acrylic will cut or engrave on your laser unless it's a CO2 laser, so you do want to do your research before buying, but black colored acrylic will work on just about any laser. Now the first thing you may notice is that this is an inverted image, and that is because when the laser beam hits the acrylic, it will turn white. So when you're working with black acrylic, you are essentially engraving white onto black. You also should notice this orange square all the way around the image. This square will be used as the outline for cutting the image out of the acrylic. For settings, we'll have the resolution set to 2K, the laser source set to 1064 nanometers, the laser frequency set to 26, the pass set to 1, the power set to 75, and the depth set to 15. For the cutout part, we'll be using the 450 nanometer blue laser as the laser source. We'll be doing 5 passes at a power of 100 and a depth of 89. So here we have the end result with the acrylic. To clean it after the laser engraving process, I did give it a quick wipe with Windex and paper towel. And as you can see, the fiber laser did an excellent job of capturing the dragon's detail, while the blue laser didn't seem to have any issues cutting the acrylic out afterwards. When it comes to engraving, black acrylic is really one of my favorite materials to work with, because it gives you these amazing detailed high contrast results. Let's now jump into working with some metals. What we have here is some anodized aluminum. Included with the LaserPecker, you get 2 different thicknesses of anodized aluminum. You get some 0.2 millimeter thick and some 0.5 millimeter thick black sheets. Now I already have some 0.2 millimeter sheets of anodized aluminum in business card size that I really like using. So in this video, we're going to engrave some of those. We're then going to go take some of the larger 0.5 millimeter thick aluminum and we're going to use it to cut out some pendants. So we're going to start by engraving this vector image of a playing card onto one of the business card sized pieces of anodized aluminum. The settings we're going to use for this is a resolution of 2K. We'll be using the 1064 nanometer fiber laser as the laser source. We'll be using a laser frequency of 26. We will have this set to 1 pass, a power of 100, and a depth of 15. Next up, we're going to do a detail test by engraving this raster image of this eagle. And just like the image we did with the acrylic, this image is inverted. For the settings, we'll be using a resolution of 2K. We'll be using the 1064 nanometer laser source. We'll be using a laser frequency of 26, doing 1 pass, using a power of 50 and a depth of 15. On the thicker 0.5 millimeter thick anodized aluminum, we are going to engrave an image of this tree. We are then going to cut it out as a pendant. For settings, I'll be engraving at a resolution of 2K. I'll be using the 1064 nanometer laser. I'll have it at a frequency of 26, be doing 1 pass, be using a power of 50, and a depth of 16. For the cut, I'll be using the 164 nanometer laser, a laser frequency of 26. I'll be doing 12 passes. I'll have the power set to 100 and the depth set to 65. So here you have the finished engravings, and much like the black acrylic, this anodized aluminum produces absolutely amazing results. As you can see for yourself, this product is able to retain a great amount of detail. The LaserPecker also didn't seem to struggle with cutting out the anodized aluminum, so this could be used to make jewelry if you're using thin stock. Next up, we are going to look at using the LP5 on stainless steel. I'm going to use the fiber laser to engrave a pattern onto this knife blade, and while I'm at it, I'm going to use the blue laser to engrave a similar pattern onto the knife handle. To do this, I am going to take this knife apart. I'm then going to sand down the handles, removing the existing logo and the finish that's already there. Here's the pattern that I'm going to engrave into the knife blade. I got the outline to fit the knife blade by scanning the knife blade and then tracing it in a vector program. To do the other side of the knife blade, I simply used the flip feature to mirror the image. For settings, I'll be using a resolution of 4K. I'll be using the 1064 nanometer as a laser source. I'll be using a laser frequency of 26. We'll only be doing one pass. It'll be at a power of 100 and a depth of 62. I'm going to do the same pattern onto the wood of the handle, and just like the blade, I'm going to use the flip feature to do the other side. For the settings, I'll be using a resolution of 1K. I'll be using the blue light 450 nanometer as the laser source. We'll only be doing one pass, and it will be at a power of 85 and a depth of 65. So here we have the reassembled and finished knife. I did add a couple coats of clear coat to the handle after I was finished engraving them. This is a fairly easy way to customize a knife, and you can of course use text for names or initials if that's what you're looking to do. The last thing we're going to look at is very popular right now, and that's these brass coins. If you're planning to engrave coins, make sure you buy a good quality coin, as I've seen many complaints of the cheaper coins not engraving very well. We're going to start off by doing a surface etching of some images. We are then going to take the same images and do a 3D engraving of them. The first image we're going to do is this Venus Medusa style design here. And just like the image we used for the 3D engraving of the coaster, this image is also a grayscale depth map. We'll be etching the image at a resolution of 2K using the 1064 nanometer laser source. We'll be doing one pass at a power of 80 and a speed of 32. Up next, we'll be etching an image of this Viking ship design. And unlike the last image, this image is a simple black and white vector. The settings will be exactly the same as the last image. Next, we are going to take the image of this Venus Medusa And we are going to use the 3D grayscale feature to turn it into layers. And over here in the settings panel, we can now preview all the different layers that were created. Now to engrave this 3D depth map, we'll be using a resolution of 1K, the 1064 nanometer laser source. We'll be using a frequency of 26, and we'll be engraving at a power of 100 and a depth of 69. We will also have the layer height set to 0.01 of a millimeter. I'm also going to do a 3D embossing of this Viking image. And this is just to show you that you do not need a grayscale depth map to do these deep engraved coins. Many black and white vector images will work just fine, although you will not get the same 3D effect as you do with the grayscale depth map. When you use the 3D grayscale feature on one of these black and white images, you'll see that each one of your layers is exactly the same as you preview through them. The settings I use to engrave this coin will be exactly the same as the settings I used to engrave the last coin. Here we got all the finished coins, and I really do like the way these turned out. It's quite easy to see why these are so popular to make. For the etched versions of the images, I did give them a good cleaning with rubbing alcohol and a cloth to remove any residue from the lasering process. For the coins I did the deep engraving on, I did clean them up with both a light abrasive pad followed by a polishing pad. I then applied a product called Brass Black to get the emboss darker, after which I lightly buffed the top of the coin to get it to pop. I do think the LaserPecker 5 did an excellent job on these coins, but you should be forewarned that since it's only a 20-watt laser, that the coins with the deep engravings will take you a couple hours to process. So as you can see by just the variety of different materials we tested and we have stacked up here, this machine is quite versatile and it did a pretty decent job on just about everything we tested it with. This machine I think would be a great addition to any shop, particularly if you don't have a lot of room or if you need to be portable. Now we still haven't tested the slide extension or the rotary, which we will do in the video after this one, so stay tuned for that. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about this LaserPecker or about any of these materials here, please let me know in the comments. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so and hit that notification bell. All right, everyone, we'll see you again next time. And just on a closing note here, since I forgot, if you want to find out more about the LaserPecker 5, you can check out my link in the description below, or check out my blog at maytechcreate.com.